how long did you live there for?
2 years.
2 years, so you don't remember it?
No.
No. So where are your earliest memories from?
From my parents' house, I guess, in Thames Ditton near Esher,
Right.
Kingston area, yeah.
So what did your parents do for a living?
My dad was an accountant, he's retired now. My mum was a stay-at-home mum.
Right, right. And did you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I've got 2 sisters. I'm middle.
You're the middle, right. And so your sight has always been as it is?
Yeah, I was born albino. They didn't. That's why they came back to the UK. They thought I was mentally handicapped. My dad loved saying that. But yeah, because I used to rock a lot for stimulation because I couldn't open my eyes in Bermuda. It was too sunny, and they didn't know what was wrong with me. They never didn't. My mum's Greek, so having this very white child, well, I was pink actually with silver hair, and coming from my mum who's Mediterranean was just odd for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think they found it quite hard to adapt then?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, they didn't know what was wrong. They knew something was wrong. They didn't know it was my vision.
So what age were you diagnosed then?
Just over 1 by Moorfields Eye Hospital.
Oh, right, so quite early on anyway.
Yeah.
And so when you were very small, before you went to school, and then when you were 3-4 years old, what memories have you got about growing up? And
I don't have memories that young.
You don't. No. So where were your youngest memories from? Starting school.
Yeah, school. Not being very happy in mainstream school, not being able to cope, and then being sent away when I was 7 to a blind school.
So tell us about those 2 years in ordinary state school then, and how difficult. What problems did you face?
Well, if I couldn't access most of the material, couldn't see it. So the teacher's solution would be, if I went up to the desk and said I can't see this, she'd say, "I'll just skip it then." So that made me feel awful because I was very studious right from a young age, and I wanted to do everything everyone else was doing. So I was pretty miserable, and I didn't like wearing I bought what was called blob glasses, big glasses with telescopes, black frames, and I didn't like wearing them. So I would try not to wear them and then get really bad headaches because I'd be trying to struggle to see, and then I wouldn't go to school. And that's why my parents looked at sending me away to special needs school.
And what about interacting with other children? How did you find that?
I was bullied at mainstream. My sister would look after me.
Is that because of the glasses or?
No, I don't really remember. I was too young. But I certainly know these twins used to bully me. I remember Farah and Fadop, I remember their names. And it was a whole chasing me in the playground and jumping in front of me, putting things down, they knew I couldn't see, so they would do things. Children are cruel.
And was it an improvement when you went to the blind school then?
No, I didn't want to go at all. I didn't want to be sent away, so I wanted to be with I was very close to my younger sister, Salam. I wanted to be at home and to be accepted and be seen as normal.
Of course. Yeah.
So I was desperately unhappy at the first blind school I went to, so much so that I was there for 5 or 6 years. I had happy memories, but then I was underlying kind of, why am I sent here, why am I different? And it's very young to be sent away, 7,
Was it a boarding school?
Yeah, I would be the whole term.
Very young.
Yeah. And I just remember big dormitories, cork floors. It was we had matrons, house matrons, and sick bay.
And where was this?
This was initially Coventry. I was sent to Coventry, to Exhall Grange, and it was a good school. But then when I was about 11, they started having not just visual impairment, but they started to have other disabilities come in, including mentally handicapped, and that's when I really lost it. I said, look, I don't want to be in the room next door to mentally handicapped. I appreciate that they've got their own needs and things, but I don't want to be in a school with them. I'm okay, And as an 11, 12-year-old, you want to be accepted as normal, and that was hard. And so they moved me. They took me out of that school, my parents. I said I wanted to come home, so they moved me to another blind school, which was Worcester College. And I went there and did my GCSEs there. And then I fought to come home for my A-levels, and I did my A-levels in a mainstream secondary, locally.
Just going back to the first blind school then. So that is quite something for a 7-year-old, isn't it? To be away from home. And you didn't go home at all
No.
during the term?
No.
And did your parents come and visit you?
They have a little flat that they lent out for the parents to come visit, and I vaguely remember them coming once or twice. It wasn't often.
So did you feel quite sort of alone?
Yeah, oh yeah, really alone. Yeah.
And did that have a lasting impact on you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at the end of the day, they were trying to do what they thought was best for me.
Of course, yeah.
But looking back, I was desperately unhappy. So, yeah.
And were you able to make friends?
Yeah, I've got a couple of close friends still now from school. Marie, who shared the bed next to me, we're still close. Yeah, and there's a couple of us still from that school. Nobody from Worcester, funnily enough. It's all from Exhall. I've still got the friends, the early school.
And how were the teaching methods then different from what they'd be today?
Well, you didn't have board work, so nothing was done on a board. Everything was dictated. So if you had to copy something down, the teacher would be reading it out. Science, they had all sorts of equipment, so you'd hear, sound detectors for light. It would make a particular noise for colours or light, and you didn't have. And geography was tactile, or tapes.
How did you learn to read and write?
Slowly. And I did, but what changed my life and what the school insisted on very early on was typing. So I learnt to touch type 9, 10 on a manual typewriter with this cronky music going A, S, D, F, semicolon, L, K, J. We do this singing, and that was probably one of the best things they've ever taught me from that school, is to touch type, because then you had the you had these machines that come in. So if you were brailing, you're doing braille, or you didn't have to use the physical handwriting. You could either use your braille, which turned it into print, or type, and then you're on the same level as everybody else in the sighted world. Yeah.
And what were the staff like?
Oh, good, warm. Yeah.
So you got good memories of them.
Yeah.
Any particular teachers that stand out?
And we had names for them. So we had Miss Endersby, we called Tank. She was giant. She and we didn't go on with her either, but she was a character. Miss Bevins. I remember the housemate, Miss Bevins and Miss Canal. I was close to them. Mrs. Page. I remember her. And it was just various teachers.
So you moved, and so what was the school you moved to then?
I moved to RNIB New College, Worcester.
Right.
Where Peter White went.
Okay. And what was that like?
Well, it was strange because at Exhall I was one of the worst sighted, and at Worcester I was one of the better sighted.
Right.
So
was that a good thing?
Oh, it's just different. It's just different. And everybody in the classroom at Worcester was using braille, and I was adamant to start using print. So I had a closed circuit television and was using print.
So there's
only me and one other girl that were using print in the classroom, whereas before it was the other way around. It was me with all with all the technology, and most people could manage short, close up.
So this is what, late 80s then?
Yeah.
Mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
But when you got to A levels, you wanted to move into the
real world,
state sector.
I just wanted to be in the normal school.
So what happened then? You had to really make your case, did you?
Yeah, I couldn't keep up in mainstream, and so what I used to do for A levels, I used to record every single lesson on a dictaphone on my lap, and I'd do each lesson at home again, and that's how I got my straight A's.
Oh, brilliant. And was that a local sixth form college?
Yeah, with a visually impaired unit attached to the actual school. It was a big secondary school, George Abbott in Guildford. So I had to get a taxi that was paid for me to go, because it was local but not very local. It wasn't in our catchment. It just had a special needs unit, a visually impaired unit. So then I could, have a little bit of extra support there, I guess. I don't really recall going in there much, but and the teachers certainly had absolutely no idea. I mean, my sociology teacher who wrote big on the whiteboard for a whole term, and then said to me towards the end of the term, I never understand why you're sitting there trying to copy off your friend Julie, because I've been writing large on the board all term. I said, you can write as big as you like, I can't see for any distance. So yeah.
And what A-levels did you do?
English, history and sociology.
And you got 3 A's?
I got 2 A's and a B.
Oh, yeah, very good. And did you find it easy to adapt to being in an environment where everyone else was fully... No,
I didn't make any friends.
You didn't?
No, I was working all the time. I knew if I wanted to go to university, I had to do better than everybody else to get looking because of my sight. People love the idea of equal opportunities, but it doesn't really happen in the actual real world. I don't think. You've got to show that you're good, or if not better, than other people.
So you had a lot of determination.
Yeah.
And then you went to Cardiff.
I went to Cardiff University and read English.
3 years.
Yeah. Got 2-1.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah. So what was your experience at Cardiff?
Loved it. Best years.
That was good, was it?
Loved
That was
university. Good. Absolutely loved it, yeah.
And is that because both students and lecturers were more
No, I met a really nice guy, and yeah.
Ah, right.
He opened up the world to me, really, and he's dead now, passed away, but
oh, dear.
yeah, I would have married him if he stayed alive. He was a lovely man, and he just accepted me despite my eyesight, and he was fully sighted, which was even more thrilling for me. I wasn't dating somebody who I couldn't see. I vowed I'd never do that.
What did the university do to help you?
Extra time, mainly. Gave me extra time in exams. That was the main support. Most of the rest of it was my own doing, sorting out what I needed, yeah.
And what about travelling backwards and forwards from the university? It seemed like your parents would take you there and back, would they?
No, train.
Train.
Well, they didn't have to take... I've been travelling up and down from school.
Yes.
On the London coach by myself, so yeah.
So you got 2-1, and then you went to teacher training.
In Brighton.
PGCE.
That was probably the hardest year of my life.
Very intensive, isn't it?
Yeah, and I nearly walked out on the course at Christmas of my initial year to get QTS, because I was doing my first teaching practice at Blatchington Mill in Brighton, that big school.
With the windmill.
And my mentor kept writing what are called cause for concerns to the university for me. If you get more than 3 cause for concerns, you're asked to leave the course. I got 15. I just, basically, because I had to do things very differently, like things like hands up, I can't see hands up, so I'd do things differently. I had monitors. I had hand up monitor, and I'd use the kids. Bear in mind, I went on to teach for almost 15 years in mainstream secondary, environment. So, but at the Christmas, when this mentor kept on writing concern, never told me her concerns, just wrote to the university, because she really believed somebody who can't see cannot teach. How can you possibly do that? And and I had that attitude a lot. I had that attitude at my mainstream A-levels. I did my A-levels at school there, George Abbott. I had to go to town for a careers advisor, because the school careers advisor said, "Do you want to read English? You can't see." Yeah. So, yeah.
How did you overcome her?
I am going to do it, and this is how I'm going to do it, actually. So you can laugh all you like, but this is what I'm going to do. But so yeah, Blatchington Mill. I was called in by the course tutor, who was amazing, Viv Ellis, amazing man, and he said, "Look, I've got these calls for concerns. He said, I'm not going to go through them all now with you, Julia. What I am going to do is this," and he just ripped them all up, put them in the bin, and he said, "I can see you're a capable teacher, potentially. I am going to take you out of Blatchington Mill. You're going to start your next teacher training in Brighton and Hove High School. It's not a school you normally use, it's a private school. But I know the head of department there, and I know she'll give you a fair innings, So she was brilliant, yeah. Kate Ashdown, yeah.
So that turned it all round then.
Mm-hmm. And so I did my second placement in a lovely school. I must say, they all thanked me for the lessons, but I was the youngest by 20 years as a teaching staff. Yeah. And then I got qualified and then went on to teach at Ringmer. I taught at Ringmer Community College for 7 years, full time, straight after that. And I had a lovely head, very, very good head there, who did things like put a light above my board, put a high chair so that if I wanted to sit down, if I sat at my desk, I couldn't hear the children at the back of the room and I couldn't see them. But just being that bit higher, on a chair higher than them, it gave me that full acoustic of the whole room. The little things like that. And he regularly reminded staff when they're walking down the corridor to say, hi Mrs Wilson, or it was Miss Baxter, hi Miss Baxter, it's such and such, and their name, because obviously I don't recognise faces at all. So it's really, and if somebody comes to my classroom, make sure you knock on the door, you come in, you say who you are, and he instilled that in all the staff. And other subsequent heads didn't do that, and it was a battle and problem, but some people get it.
And what about the pupils? I mean, especially teenage boys, that must...
Oh yeah, all kids, whether you're disabled or not, they will find something. They're kids. I'm just really glad mine's obvious. Mine's an obvious disability. Some people don't have an obvious one, at least. And the bottom sets, once I got more experience, I actually got on better with the bottom sets because they could see that I was successful, I was getting on, despite my disability, and they could too.
So did you have a sort of strategy of dealing with troublesome kids?
Yeah, it's just being quick-witted helps. Yeah, and being pacey in your lessons, being appropriately gauged level-wise, and that just comes with experience. So the first couple of years were really tough, but they are for anyone.
Yeah, well, a lot of people find teaching too tough, don't they? So many teachers leave.
I've got my dream job now, working online at a school called Interhigh. So no one needs to know I can't see.
Right.
Yeah. Online secondary school, first of its kind, but it can become state school.
So 15 years is quite a long time, isn't it? So you went from Ringmer to where?
I went from Ringmer on to I left Ringmer because I was pregnant with my second child. Then I dropped out and went. We moved here as well, so it was too difficult to keep moving. So I joined a language school here whilst I had a couple of young babies. That's St George's Language School, and taught English as an additional language. But I wasn't really enjoying that. My heart was in English, teaching English children. So I did that for a bit, and then I moved and worked at Worthing High. But it was in special measures, and it was a bit of a headache. So then I went on to Davison, which was brilliant. A close friend of mine is head of department there, so she was actually a witness at my wedding. So yeah, that was good. And now I moved from Davison to Interhigh. That's where I'm at now.
So did you move to Interhigh because you wanted to get out of ordinary teaching, or because this just seemed like
I wanted more of a work-life balance, and I was working all weekends, most evenings till late. Whereas at Interhigh now, you start later, 9:30. I don't have to pay for clubs for my kids to go to breakfast club, to go to after school club. So I'm around more, a lot more, and there's a lot less marking. And what marking there is all online. So I can magnify it how I like. I'm not struggling with difficult handwriting.
Going back to when you were small and thinking of the challenges that a visually impaired person faced, I don't know, 35, 40 years ago, do you think there have been improvements, and if so, what are they?
There's more attempt to have a visually impaired person stay with their family at home, and the school will try and accommodate that. I mean, certainly when my parents had me, that wasn't the case. It was very much encouraged that you were sent away, to a special school. That's what happened to a disabled person. It wasn't that you tried to get integrated, And I think I might not have done as well academically had I stayed local, but I think socially and emotionally I would have been far happier, I think. Yeah. Because I really felt I missed out on all of that. But I got straight A's through, I got straight A's at GCSE and then very good A-levels, and I don't know whether I would have done that if I'd been in the mainstream locally. I don't think that would have happened.
No. So do those schools still exist?
Yeah.
There still are boarding schools for... Yeah. And still from that
but
young age?
The numbers have dropped. No, I don't suppose I do. I don't know. I haven't looked. But I mean, the numbers dropped at Exel because of everybody increasingly wanted to keep their blind children at home, which is why they started having multiple disabilities come in to keep the numbers up.
Oh, I see. Yeah. And with your own children, I mean, so 4 children. That's quite a lot. Quite demanding. All fairly similar ages, aren't they? Not huge
because
gaps
I had 4
in between.
children in 5 years. Yeah.
So that wouldn't be. That's not easy. That's a job in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I have that, and that's the other thing. I don't know in years ago whether you would have support from from the local area. And I get PAs, personal assistants, that come in and help me 2 hours a day. So, and that was vital when I had like babies, absolutely, because I couldn't see the level of the bath water, for example, so I could be washing the baby's bottom, not realising the other end's under the water, you know what I mean? Yeah, and there's been many situations where, I was just so glad there was somebody else present,
Well, that's quite good support. And
Yeah.
every day, 7 days a week, every day?
No, only 5 days. Well, things have all changed, obviously, with my husband walking out. So things are a lot more tricky now. So weekends are long, but I've got older children now, so Corin and Madeline are carers to me. Really, they take on a lot.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Madeline takes me across London to the eye hospital. She's 9.
So you go.
So I can't take the dog on the underground, so I have to take somebody with me.
Well, that's great. She can do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Now they're older, they are able to do more for me.
And you're still going to the eye hospital, so they're still trying to improve your eyesight.
No, just trying to maintain it. Just trying to because I've got squint issues, so trying to make them look more straight. They can't change my vision. They can't improve my vision. What it is, But because when I was teaching, it was really infuriating because my right eye would always drift. And then I would be trying to teach and talk to a child. Even if I said their name, the person to the right would always answer. Even if I said names. So you're looking at that child. So then I went to the hospital. I said, look, can you do something about this? It's really winding me up. And so they adjusted it. And then I started to get double vision after they fiddled about. So I had to have another operation. So yeah, you kind of think, oh, was that worth it for the cosmetic thing? Then I started getting other problems because I had them interfered with. And then the surgeon, Dr. Lee, died. So I'd have a different surgeon, and yeah.
So you're not going to have any more operations?
Not at the moment. Just to have a wonky eyes.
Yeah, but then online it doesn't matter, does it?
No.
No.
True.
So that's an advantage.
Yeah.
So your life today, obviously you're working, you've got family. What about just day-to-day activities? I don't know, going shopping and so forth.
Well, everything's loads more. It's time and a half. You have to put in half as much more time. A lot of it is just so much more time consuming, and the frustration of it. So going to I do online shopping mostly now, food shopping and things. But if I forget things, I have to go to Waitrose, which is down the road. That's why I go there, and wait at the help desk. Wait for somebody to come and help me to go around and get what I want. So it just takes a long time. And also the sort of, often you get really condescending attitudes, They're speaking slowly and loudly. I am okay, I just can't see.
Yeah, because people often do the wrong thing for the best of reasons, can't they?
I thought having a guide dog would make people really aware, but even that, people wave across the road. Go on, you can go. And it's just madness that they're waving a blind person across the road that you obviously can't see because they've got a dog there. Or it's just over to your, it's just over there. Yeah. I think people don't think things through. I mean, I don't know, prejudice, only sometimes I felt it, like when I had to stay at home when Ofsted came to Davison because they hadn't risk assessed the dog, so I got paid to stay at home. I had to stay at all the lessons, but I had to stay at home, and I just thought it was really out of order, but I didn't complain because I was quite like the fact that I had a day off in a cafe getting paid for, but that kind of thing, it's kind of borderline, what is that?
Well, that's almost like a bureaucratic failure, isn't it?
Yeah.
But clearly, I mean, you went for jobs and you got jobs. Did you find it easy to get when you moved from school? Did you find it easy?
No, and the only reason I've got Worthing High was the head of Worthing High, Carolyn Dickinson, did her teacher training in the classroom next to me. I was already fully qualified in teaching at Ringmer. She came, did her graduate teacher programme, had absolute chaos first year or two, is for any teacher, and I used to have to go in and help her. Now she's head of Worthing High.
Right.
So I approached her, I wrote her an email, I said I'd like a job. She knows I'm a good teacher. She's seen me, she's in the classroom next to me. We had an interconnecting door. And it's basically through people that know me. So I don't know, when you say prejudice, I think there is some, because I think people are very reticent. If they could choose a sighted person over a visually impaired person, most people would choose a sighted person.